Hi everyone, very good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you. This is episode 24 on Pitch Camp. Today we are also starting a new series, which is a product-led series, and I'm very excited to have a very early stage founder with us today. Mr. Kaushik Tirthappa, and he's building an exciting product, and he's recently hit a very important milestone in this journey, and that's where we thought we'll feature him on this podcast as well. So welcome, Kaushik. Very excited to have you on the 24th episode.
Thank you so much, Bimlesh. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, wonderful. So before we jump in, I'll just talk a little bit about PitchCamp. PitchCamp is an initiative with a mission to enable 10,000 founders and sales teams to sell better, to communicate better. We do this through sales coaching, especially for founders who come from a tech background with no sales prior experience. Right? So we also do investor pitch coaching. We have coached about 25 startups so far on how they communicate their pitch deck, how they craft their content, and how they do live or virtual pitching to raise funds. Right? And recently we closed out a partnership with JB Sales, which is a leading sales training company in the US. We are very excited to bring that partnership to India, and we are excited to roll out some new stuff along with them to the India market. So recently, I saw your post on LinkedIn on you hitting an important milestone, and also we are part of a common founder community, and that was really the trigger for me to get you on board in the new product-led series that I was planning to put together. So you're the first speaker on the product-led series. So I've always been a product guy. So someone building products and making product-led growth happen is always exciting. More so, you have an interesting point in time when you're seeing this growth during COVID times. So, would love to peel different layers of your journey, of your story during this entire conversation. Right?
Yeah.
So, talk to us a little bit about your background, your professional life before you decided to start up.
Yeah, sure. Basically, before I did Spike, chronologically, I think I started working in a startup after I graduated, which was in a 3 BHK apartment. We raised funds, and it eventually, now it's Scale Fusion rebranded. It's into the device management services. After which I joined Sportskeeda, and Sportskeeda is probably Asia's largest sports tech journalism website, and over there, we were handling huge amounts of traffic, but I was primarily looking at only the tech teams, and that's the same before as well. After which, I joined Wingify, and it was an extremely rewarding journey at Wingify. I was in the new products division. We built multiple new products, trying to expand our product catalog, and over that is exactly where we were trying to essentially get early customers and see what are the needs and how do we try to solve them, how do we figure it out. And that was essentially the journey so far. But if you look at it, I think I was primarily a lot about development until then, and I could see the pain points that smaller teams were facing at that time. And eventually, I met Prithviraj, who was then heading the product for Pushkro, which is now VW Engage, and I was very keen on learning a lot of things from him. I think somewhere down the line, I knew that these are some of the pain points, and I wanted to solve them at some point. But I also got this feeling in Wingify's atmosphere. I think you get that true feeling is that just developing is not going to help, you know. And I was very keen, and I started working with Prithvi as an associate product manager, wherein I learned how are we prioritizing features, what is the one that's important, what are the metrics that needs to be looked at, which pain point has to be figured out first and for which customer, and how do we give the best customer support. These were some of the things that I learned before I decided to jump the wagon. I quit my job and I started working on Spike.
Okay, wonderful. So, how recently is Spike set up?
We I quit my job last year in the month of July.
Okay.
And I gave myself, I'll be very honest with you, I gave myself an entire year. Okay.
Okay.
I thought that, okay, in 1 year, if I could essentially have a few customers, or even think that, okay, I can have this much small amount of revenue coming in, then I'll continue to do that. But essentially, I think because there was a severe understanding of what needs to be built and how we need to do it was two different things. Something that as a developer, before I like as a developer, I could never really figure out. But when I was developing and I was also trying to make that say really go out in the market, that's when it hit me, and it hit me hard. So in the first couple of months, we built something and we stopped, took a break. Then I started studying a lot. I studied a lot, and then I started research. And then I reached out to about 25 companies that I spoke in the month of February from across the world. And I tried to understand what are the pain points, are the pain points similar?
Okay.
And are we going in the right direction? Which is when we decided that we made this lean and the most simplistic version. So Spike essentially is a very simple incident management platform. What we do is we call you when shit hits the fan.
Mm.
Before your customers can report you, we automate that call, and we call you, we tell you what happened. Not just phone call, there's SMS, Slack, and email alerts.
Okay.
So yeah, after that we basically just trim the entire tree of features, which is ideally, I think, as a developer, which is my superpower, I would say, when I started. As a developer, I created a list of 30 features that I'll build. That's I cocooned myself. That's my comfort
Right.
zone. And you need someone else to shake you from that comfort zone and tell you that you're probably just building. You need to go out there, which is when we got the right ideation, and we knew that we wanted to build a product, and this product has to be very developer friendly. It has to enable trust. It has to be extremely reliable, and getting there has been a rewarding journey, I would say.
Oh, wonderful. So, when you decided to start up and give yourself your, what were a couple of the ideas that you dabbled with before you decided to solve the incident management idea or the problem?
I did not go with other ideas. I just had
Okay.
one. I the ideation filter was very simple. I at Wingify at Wingify it was Wingify encourages you to build projects. If you can, please go ahead and build them. So essentially, I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning till about 8 o'clock. I used to work, then sleep, and then go to office. So in those days, I'd already listed down, but before I quit my job, all the other ideas were eliminated. And
Okay.
I knew one of the things that was important is perseverance. I believe that no idea is really that bad an idea. It's just the execution. And I feel that the execution tactics that I have learned, the experience from failures, those are the same execution tactics that I could use in the next product if this one goes south or anything like that, right? So that has been extremely helpful to think in that direction. I knew that if I keep fumbling across, oh, not this, not this, I think I was very firm on that you need to persevere. So I had this one writing on the whiteboard. I have two whiteboards here. It says, put your head down and work.
Hmm.
And that I think truly helped us to at least get out to the market in the first instance itself.
Fantastic. And so you decided on the incident management, problem statement, and so these were the space that you started to explore in doing your research. So, what were some of the competitor tools that you saw in the market? What was the gap that was felt by your customers that prompted you to kind of explore and understand that there's a market for a simple solution? Talk to us about your research
Yeah,
outcomes.
I think the first research before I actually got into the research, because the new products division was working as a really small entity in itself. When we were looking at products and buying, it was we knew that products cannot be we did not align towards complicated products. And in this space, if you look at some of the competitors, they're all for enterprises. You
Okay.
know, there's no one who's startup friendly.
Okay. Or
And
for SMBs.
yeah, and we started talking to when I was in the small product in the new products. I spoke with other developers at that time from other startups as well, who basically say that if there is an incident, now an incident could be pretty much anything, right? Your servers going down, your website's crashing, or your transactions failing. If you're an e-commerce shop, carts going filled up carts and no checkout happening. So an incident is something, anything that affects your customer or affects your business, right? So there wasn't a particular way that we can easily set it up, and because everyone was so enterprisey, most of the startups that I spoke with had absolutely no idea that such a system even exists in the first place.
Okay.
That's where I realized that there is a huge gap. If not, a lot of the 50 people, 100 people teams as well do not use any of alerting systems. What they do is that when there is an incident, the email goes to, say, engineering at example.com. Yeah, but this incident happened on a Saturday morning and everyone's coming on a Monday morning.
Right.
We've lost customers over the weekend.
Right.
So there is much less transparency as well. And here's the thing, incidents will affect small and large companies the same way.
Equally. Yeah.
Okay?
They are more democratized than in anybody else.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things I keep seeing is that larger customers, they have massive complicated SLAs, and they have massive complicated contracts, and they know the retention is much easier for them. But if you are a small company or a medium organization serving to other small and medium organizations, you will
Right.
see that the churn comes quickly, and one black patch is perpetual. And we realized that a lot of the teams who set up this engineering emails and send all the incidents there, oh, the first few emails, everyone's paying a lot of attention and heed.
Right.
The
Right.
next few times, yeah, trust me, half the people have marked it as spam,
Right.
right?
There's always a difference between a customer support ticket versus an incident ticket, right? Typically, an incident happens, and only when the customer faces a challenge, that's when a customer ticket comes out. And then
Right.
when the team is trying to figure that out, then they realize that it's due to an incident that has happened.
Yeah, that's exactly why we say that, we will alert you on phone or SMS, email, Slack, anything before your customers get affected. A lot of the times when a failure occurs, there are indicators towards failures. Now we keep telling our customers, get alerts for indicators. Do not wait for that to happen. Do not wait
Right.
for it to hit the fan. Let's talk about it when it drops. you know so that's where we have learned that customers are able to essentially set up. I'll give you one or two examples.
Sure.
We have a very popular fleet management services who's integrated from the travels in India, a lot of the bus travels, including Mahindra trucks, IoT devices. Now every time the IoT device loses a connection, an incident occurs on Spike, and the relevant development team are immediately alerted, either on Slack or phone call, depending on how long it's been disconnected.
Okay.
Before they integrated with Spike, a lot of the team members did not even know the number of incidents, did not even know exactly what are the points of failures and how many times has it been occurring.
Right.
And when they are unable to fulfill that particular data gap whenever the device is disconnected, they're not able to give their customers of where the trucks were, as an example, right? Those now, I think what has happened is over a period of time, once they started getting phone calls, they realized that this is happening at this time. There is a pattern here. Then they fixed that. Then they went on to the next journey of not just integrating with the IoT device, now they're integrating with their back-end queues, their front-end dashboards, any of the errors from Sentry, AWS, the cloud monitorings, all of them getting integrated, and every corner of the app having any small issues, that is the alert system that they've set up by adding a small team. That was great validation for us, and that's when we realized that having a simple product is extremely essential, and that's why we double down on simplicity, and that's our value at core.
Fantastic. Amazing. So talk. So this is very interesting, right? So from a developer mindset and as a developer as a profession, you wore the hat of products. Then you started to dabble with products. You saw this problem, started to look at it from a productization angle to really solve a completely unaddressed market. For companies for whom being available 24 bar 7 is critical for their business to survive, right? So very fascinated with this part of the journey. Talk to us a little bit about your MVP to your current state. How did you iterate? What were the versions that you built? What feedback you saw, and some of those mechanics.
Um, so essentially, in the month of July last year, I had almost nothing. It was just basic boilerplate. But I was I was already emailing friends of mine who are working in other startups, or friends of mine who are probably having a startup by themselves, and I was taking a lot of their feedback while I was building it as well. But I was there is this entire norm about having the perfect product before we actually launch.
Right.
Yeah, I was stuck in that circle for a little bit. I
Okay.
remember the time. Okay.
That's a developer syndrome, right?
Uh,
Yeah.
all the classic symptoms I saw that in me, and what I did was the only thing that shook me was the fact that everything is working now. What is the next step? Right, I know I can add 10 more features, but there is this one question that in my experience I've always heard this is that who's asking it.
Right.
And then there is the three whys that I keep implementing. So if I don't have a whiteboard, I carry an A3 page big sketchbook around everywhere. You will see me, if you see me in any cafe, you will see me with a big sketchbook, and that's my whiteboard. So I have it why. And that's when I realized that no one's asking, so let's actually try going out. So when I spoke, I offered everybody 180 days trial.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the things I learned was that I targeted the companies that I kind of knew might not convert. So that's where I wanted to fail. I was essentially wearing, you seen the pharmacy guys wearing the suit and all of those things, carrying a suitcase
Yeah.
and doing the sales call. I did that. I went into offices, I've given charts, I'm giving them an entire presentation for 30 minutes and then failed to convince them. So I knew that I am not able to target the particular pain points. So the next set that I got into, I studied very deeply about what could possibly be the systems and what could be the pains and points of failures, and how big is the engineering team. Could be 3 people, could be 2 people, could be even 20 people.
Right.
And that's when I think that pitch went so good that they used it for about 3 months. And in the first month, they did not integrate anywhere.
Right.
That's when I learned that okay, people don't know how to integrate it. We need to make it even simpler. We need to make it as a self-serve platform eventually. But at this stage, let me go and do this. So I walked into their offices and I'm setting up their first integration for them.
Okay.
So after a month, there are about 20 incidents, about 10 to 20 phone calls that have gone. And that's where the value is clicking in. They're like, oh, okay, I did not know that there was this issue. We were all fine and dandy over the weekend. We had no idea. But until that phone call came from Spike, that's when they realized that this is happening and we've been missing out. We were unaware for such a long time. And then I think after 180 days, they became our first paying customer in March. And that itself was a big milestone. And that is a very good validation.
Right.
We don't have any automation set up at that point in time. But the customer knew that by that time, they had received about 100 incidents, and they knew that this is providing more and more value. So they reached out and we added all of their engineering team, and we priced it quite effective and very affordable as well. So they knew that this is going to be very helpful. One of the things we were fighting after that to getting the next set of customers was India as a geographical region has the whole, do we build or do we buy it?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now I think in retrospective, I'll say that that's an absolutely incorrect phrase. When I was studying, I learned that why do you automate is because to make your life easier. But Why would you build? It's not making life easier. And you don't have to maintain those systems. We'll maintain those systems for you as
Right.
product builders, right? But the challenge is essentially that it's about hiring and throwing bodies at a problem or throwing a product at a problem.
Right.
You can pretty much say that, okay, I can just hire an intern and build the system out for myself. You know, that's some of the challenges that we are facing. So for that, reliability was extremely crucial.
Correct.
And that particular reliability, that no matter what happens, we will alert you. That will never not happen. That will always,
Correct.
you
Yeah.
know. So those validations came, and then when we were preparing for the launch, there were different aspects that we were trying to delve into. And one of the most important aspects, other than reliability, was design.
Hmm.
We knew that design is going to have a very profound impact, because we cannot just say that it's a simple product and it'll be simple.
Right.
The principles of design will set it up for our developer persona, developers who are team leaders, developers who are freshers, developers who are hobbyists. It has to be an incredibly simple journey from sign up to getting their first alert. That's the thing that we've optimized over 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So you got your first customer in March and then COVID hit. During this, you have been optimizing your design for developers. So how did COVID impact what you were building, and how did your team adapt to it, and how did the customer acquisition journey change?
One of the things about COVID coming in for the month of March was, I know most of the people were depressed, but we were quite happy at the time because we had just gotten our first paying customer, and that's a big validation. I had no idea it's actually so. It puts you on this pedestal where you're incredibly happy to have that. And then the next day the fear creeps in. Now you have to make sure that you are actually doing a good job, because before this,
Right.
cocooned and building something. Now it's about going out there. When COVID hit, dynamics changed, because now, wherein I could say that, okay, you know what, at least let us pitch to the companies that I kind of know in one sense of the way, either through LinkedIn or not. When we tried to do these reach outs, we had absolutely no reply, because there was a storm of chaos. And in a storm of chaos, no one can see anything.
Right.
Okay, so it's at that point in time, people are not buying. People are in self protection mode. They have to protect themselves no matter what happens, and their organizations. So the month of March and April, we probably did not see. We were still adjusting ourselves to the new normal. However,
Right.
we have been working from home for a long time now, but we were letting all the other customers really get adapted to this thought process. But the entire pivot actually changed in the month of April. In the month of April, our customer, they shut down their office, and they basically asked everyone to just work remotely, at least for the entire year of 2020.
Right.
And that's when I realized that here's the thing, when you are five people sitting in an office or a small room, or you are a 100 people team sitting on the same floor, then alerts have different meaning.
Mm-hmm.
If you and I are sitting on the same floor, you will get a phone call alert, and you can tell me here right now that something has happened, or I can sense that, I can see that.
Right.
But when we are sitting in different cities, the need for transparency increased even more. And that need for transparency across remote teams, that started to become our strong point.
Excellent.
When you're 10 people, like as I said, if you're on the same floor and you got an incident, I have
Right.
some idea this has happened. But if I am in Pune, you're in Bangalore, how would I possibly know?
True.
you know? So this is what we learned, is that now more than ever are people going to need reliable alerts. So the first thing we started was, we asked our customer, and then we had started to see a few signups coming. So we asked everyone to essentially join on some sort of a small call, and we will tell you how to design your escalation policies. And escalation policies essentially, if Bimlesh does not answer the call, then
Right.
later call me. It's an alert policy. Who should
True.
get the alerts in what order.
What order? Yeah.
We got them on a call, and we started suggesting them. No more can you say that, okay, only Bimlesh or Kaushik will get the call. What if Kaushik is asleep? A long
Right.
nap, afternoon, Puna's afternoon nap in famous month, right? What happens then? And now we are more remote. So that particular education system, what we learned is that we made sure that no one's a single point of failure. And it also gave this exposure that we're not mentioning a lot of the use cases, or when we're also trying to understand how are our customers really using the product. Although all small number of customers, but remember this is that it has never deterred us. It
Mm.
never deterred that there was only one customer, because all of these sessions was such a monumental learning experience. Because let's face it, I've never done this before. I've never asked a customer to come on a call and tell them how to use this product or how to make the most of this.
Most out of the product, yeah.
I've never done this. There are growth marketers who do that. I was a developer sitting in the back office and working. So I knew that all of these learnings has to convert into documentation, which is when we made a self-serve documentation that truly helped.
Okay.
Then the the extremely flexible escalation policy that we did not have before. We made it very simple and easy. Essentially, I can say that, okay, Bimlesh needs to get a phone call, not an email, a phone call. And if Bimlesh does not answer, then send me an SMS, but then try calling Bimlesh again. That
Correct.
flexibility we did not provide before.
Got it.
And that simpleness, after COVID hit, we doubled down on simplicity even more. So we gave the flexibility. If you are a customers who've got 10 licenses and 5 licenses, not everyone has to log in. One of you can log in and create a policy for everyone that you
Right.
must have it on a chat or on a call, that, okay, you know what, let's make sure that A, B, C, D are involved in this. So that really opened doors into deep usability. So when I was looking at these metrics in the month of May, is when I realized that I think we have a product at hand. I always felt that, okay, I know exactly what I'm building, but in retrospective, I would say that a year ago I had absolutely no idea what I was building,
Mm.
until small milestones start to occur. Every time a small milestone happens, my only saying is, I think we have a product. And that's when that's the whole COVID shift that we did. And then I think more and more people were getting open to attending meetings. So I
Okay.
opened up my Twitter and I started saying that, please just DM me for a cup of coffee. I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to say, oh, become my customer. That's not going to happen. So I saw a lot of interesting people come in. We had people who wanted to be a VC, people interested in startup scenes, developers, and we just had cups of coffee together. And I would tell them about the product. I would learn from their perspectives, developers' perspective, a product manager's perspective of how, what are the small optimizations they have done in their product, and I would reverse engineer how can I achieve that effect in Spike. And
Got it.
that's been a primal learning. So during those months, and after May, I think people started to become very open and adopted to the new working from home, to the new normal, essentially.
Right. Right.
And then I think after that, things started to go back to a lot more easier. But we capitalized that with simplicity and the flexibility even more for remote teams. We basically made it very remote friendly. That's what helped. We had a few people come in on the website, and we had. Um, I knew for a fact that if I could outsource any of the job, I would outsource it to a product. And if products are expensive, I'll just reach out and say that we are a very early stage startup with almost no revenue. Okay, so Intercom, we got Intercom's early stage plan, and we got qualified for the startup program, and we integrated Intercom on the first version of the marketing website, the visitor
Okay.
facing website. And people, I'd say that almost once a week or 10 days, I would see an interaction happening. Someone would ping, and the questions were vaguely different than the questions I had expected. The questions were, are you an uptime monitoring solution? Are you a Prometheus competitor? That's when I realized that our product is not able to express what we do properly.
Right.
The copy was out of place. The design, it looked decent, but it was not solving the problem. It was not telling people.
Communicating the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing we did was that I knew that going out there and implementing any of the growth hacks is going to be difficult. So I wanted to make sure that whosoever visits the website, they at least get an exact idea of what we do. And for that, we revamped the entire website and we started adding messaging that's absolutely clear. By
Mm.
that time, I was doing a lot of jobs to be done framework implementation. What job are you going to hire our product for? And what are the benefits of it? I used to write the benefit. Like I can say that gain customer confidence or sleep better at night. But that's not really telling you what the product was.
Right.
It works when you are an established product. That's what I felt. And that's what I learned. So we resorted to extremely simple copy. And now I think ever since that in the last 6 months, I've never had any query on intercom, which I would say approximately once in 2 days, we see a new query when a new lead coming in. And we've never seen anyone asking, what does Spike do?
Right.
So then we decided to go across product hunt. Product hunt, I think, is fairly. I reached out to a lot of people who are top product hunters as well. But looking at the availability of the calendars, it just sort of felt that I think everyone's just too busy. I get it, but a month waiting or a couple of weeks waiting, and I think we missed out that window. We could not plan that product hunt launch better.
Okay.
Next time when we are launching our second phase of the product, I think at least now I know that you need to be ready at least a month before and start meeting people and asking them to hunt it for you if you want to. But relentless as I was at that time, I decided that let's just go and we'll see what happens. Product hunt is before I did Spike, I had worked on a very small side project and I tested by launching it on Product Hunt in
Okay.
2018. And even now it's active. It's trafficticker.com. There are 1,000 users who use that Google Chrome extension very reliably. But what I tried to implement the same learnings here: schedule your launch and make sure that you're reaching out to people who already essentially have some fair idea of what the product does, and reach out to them, ask for a few reports at the initial stage, and then it's all going to be organic. And for organic, you can have the basis. Your messaging has to be clear, and our product and images were absolutely on par. We
Okay.
decided not to do a video. That's a different topic, but our product and images were on par, and the first comment that we put was extremely critical.
Correct. That's usually the
Yeah,
uh, you
usually
know,
something people read.
yes,
Yeah.
especially from the founder.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first message from the founder is very critical. Yeah.
That messaging being very straight, being very honest, that triggered a lot of people. And that was very, very important. That triggered people's sentiment. And when you go to the website from there, you will see that the messaging, language, everything follows.
All right.
It's not perspective A on product hunt and perspective B on the website. That's not gonna happen. It was uniform. What we said here, you can come to our website and you can see that we still mean the same, just with deeper, more confirming language. And slowly and steadily, we saw that we just went from upcoming to the trending products. So that was very helpful. But understanding, then there was this entire thing where people do say that go to where your target audience hangs out.
Right.
That was our very important strategy. As much as product hunt is nice, I I would not say that that's our main target audience.
Right.
It's essentially a way for us to say that we have
All right.
that was it. Because if I say so myself, getting cocooned and the comforts of everyday routine sometimes pulls you out. And if you're counting, we have passed a year, July to July, and we are launching in July in product hunt. So that was very crucial. So I thought that product hunt, I was not expecting too many customers, too many signups to happen. But what I was expecting was essentially to have an absolutely 180-degree state of mind shift. And that is what happened. And after that, our second strategy is always community engagement. To really know where our audience hangs out
Hmm.
and go there and interact with them is essential. We've interacted with communities where we keep taking product feedback. We take planned feature feedback inside that community as well from
So,
community.
which are some of these communities that you
We,
have
we go
talked
to, yeah, we go to Telegram groups and
about? Okay,
groups. Two of these groups. There is also Reddit as well.
right,
But I think having an extremely honest adding a comment and adding a chat message are two different things.
correct,
That's
correct,
what I've done. And when you are validating something, you don't want a person to plan the response because that's a comment. When you do it in Slack or if you do it on Telegram, people can impulsively write, this is just shit, or this is really good. Oh, this makes sense. Hmm. You will not see these kind of messages come in comments, but those
right.
initial experiences of chat messages is absolutely vital.
Got it.
That first reaction, how do we develop? So the community engagement, where the communities are seeing Spike getting developed slowly and steadily, has been extremely instrumental. And we still continue to do that, and that's been a very strong acquisition channel in one sense, I'd say.
Got it. Did you explore to do any sort of a growth hack around Stack Overflow? Because that's another big community of developers, always looking to seek out help on the problems that they are stuck in.
No,
Not yet. Okay.
not yet. As in, I think Stack Overflow is, as much as Q&A it is, Stack Overflow's guidelines also is very strict about not to plug your products, because if
Sure.
people are plugging their products, it's you need, if you work with the community, Stack Overflow answers will not be written by you,
Right.
by one of your users.
Correct. Correct.
That's the aim that we have. We
Right.
want eventually, over the next years, we want our tag, the hashtag, to happen over there, that, oh, I have a problem with something on Spike.
Right.
And I think if you start to abolish these guidelines, you are essentially messing with an entire ecosystem and community of developers.
True.
And that's something that we feel very strongly about not to. So any community we join, we make sure that we are reading the entire code of conduct very properly. And often, in my first engagement, I also write that, is it okay if I ask, I'm founder of so and so, and we're building this feature and we're planning for this feature, is it okay if we ask these questions? If not, we're fine with it. But you will see that if we are being polite and we are being nice and following these conducts, the communities are going to be absolutely 100% fruitful. So just following that guidelines and having the right ethics, that itself is good enough, I feel. So Stack Overflow, as long as they probably won't change the guidelines, I don't see myself going, or any of us going and plugging in the product in an answer that just go use Spike or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a different play on how people recommend different products as an individual user. So that's how some companies have created a pseudo hack types to
Yeah.
get visibility in the Stack Overflow
Yeah.
platform.
In the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So
Cool.
that is also the same comments and chats response.
Right, right,
Over
right.
there, it will still be a comment. We are looking for chat messages. It's very important to have that discrimination, because after reading mom's test, I think I've learned to really ask the right questions. And when it resonates in the community, yeah, you have a bonus right there.
True.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So talk to us about your recent milestone, that you celebrated about. So talk to us about what happened around there and why that milestone is so critical.
As Spikes processes and gives you transparency about all the things that are possibly going wrong or will go wrong in the future with your infrastructure, code, or customer users, we term that as an incident. And we recently processed over 1 million incidents. And that's the milestone that we've been celebrating over the past few days. Although I guess the celebrations cut too short, because now we're doing about 50,000 incidents a day. Uh,
Okay.
what we what How we got there has been instrumental in understanding how we onboard our users and how we give that particular achievement effect to our customers. As a developer, when you come on board, you will get your first alert after you sign up and verify and do all of those things. And then when you create your first integration, that alert that pings in, that gives you an understanding that yes, this is how the system works. When we give demos, I'm always amazed to see how people react when they get their first phone call. No matter how the demo is going to go in the future for the next 1 hour, I'm very amazed to see that people say that, Kaushik, this is so cool. That gives us that particular confidence, right? So we trickled in about having this pricing which is extremely friendly for startups. It's a flat pricing. We just have one pricing plan, right? So that has helped customers understand that if I can get an alert for a transaction failure, why can't I get an alert for, say, let's say, our RabbitMQ
Right.
or our AWS clouds server health or disk space, DB monitoring? So what we've been noticing is that it's been approximately a 4 month cycle. We tell our customers, stick with us for 4 months, and probably you will learn to see. And in 4 months, we see customers come in, do one integration. The first month they have about 2 or 3 or 5 incidents. And over a period of time, as they see value come in, they start to integrate and monitor and take a 360-degree view of alerts.
Of all their applications. Yeah.
Exactly. And every nook and corner. Because integrating with Slack has been one of the best things that we've done, because not every incident is worth reprioritizing your entire day.
Right.
That's not going to happen on an everyday basis. So for all the other things, you can just push it off to Slack. So another thing that we do very well, and that's something that our customers absolutely love, is the fact that when you integrate, let's suppose with AWS, and if you put an email, which a lot of people do, they put an engineering at example.com. So AWS will send you an email that this has happened. 10 minutes later, if this is happening, AWS will send you an email again. That's the same thing that they do with webhooks, like, or integrations with Spike. They will say that this issue has happened, issue A. 5 minutes later, issue A. As long as this issue exists, AWS would have sent you 100 emails. They actually sent us these 100 requests. So that's something that we do, is that we suppress these incidents because we know that you're already working on it. So when you actually see 100 incidents, the reality is somewhere down there and you probably have had 1,000 incidents. It's just that we suppressed it. A lot of our customers are now, they can see those benefits coming in. Like, it's not just noise suppression, but it's also about the fact that when you're working on it, why would we want to call again and disturb, right?
Correct.
So by that, we can see that customers slowly and steadily, as they learn to use each of these features, for which the documentation and the plugging inside the product has been, I think we've been able to marry that very well. Every
Excellent.
time you look at this particular, say you're going to resolve an incident or why you're doing this or mute an incident, you can just click on learn more and directly go to the documentation. And that self-serve, now when we look at the analytics, our documentation is visited extremely often. That's something that people, they can see how self-serving that is. Initially, I had to get on calls with people to onboard them. Now I think most of the times, if I don't work on weekends anymore, but when I come back on a Monday morning and I see there are 10 new leads and they've already created their accounts and they're able to essentially set up their integrations as well, that that has helped. Now in our second cycle, we ask them, what are your pain points? What is your infrastructure like? Here are some examples that you could do. Monitor your Grafana logs, monitor your Prometheus logs. Let's monitor your mobile app. How many customers are leaving you? So all of these things, as they say, as we see these examples, they feel, if I could do X, I could do Y, because Y is more important for us.
Right.
But just adding more of these integrations just escalated the incidents very quickly. It's been just, I think, a month ago we were at 200 or 300,000 incidents, and in just 4 weeks we escalated it to 1 million.
Fantastic. This is amazing. Great insights, Kaushik. I think before we wind up, two things that I want to, or three things I want to touch upon quickly. Uh, As part of your growth journey, I remember in our community you posted out on a lesson learned on how you got hacked during this entire process, and how a huge number of calls started to go out from your system. So talk to us a little bit about the journey on how it happened, how you stopped it, and now what systems have you put in place to prevent it, and what has been your key lesson learned in that process? Because it's not very often that a young early stage startup has gets an issue like this, right? Where you get hacked and the meter on one of your SaaS products just keeps running out. This is typically a large guerrilla marketing strategy that competitors run with other competing brands. A very very popular strategy in the business world, but never heard in a startup environment. So talk to us a little bit about that.
I'm not really sure exactly who did it or was that really a purpose. But what I know, I think you can please check out the blog. Anyone who's listening, go to dev.to/spike, or you can go to blog.spike.sh. There is a very detailed timeline. It's pretty much like reading a script, as I've been told by a lot of my friends and peers. Toll fraud scam is something that I learned. This is called as toll fraud scam. You have a call center. Let's suppose that Godrej is your customer, and every time a Godrej customer calls the call center, your call center, that is, that Godrej is outsourced to, you will make, let's suppose, $0.50 for each minute spent on the call. But if there are not enough people calling, you would rather just generate these automated phone calls, tens and thousands of them, and give a monthly $5,000 bill to Godrej. That's toll fraud. And that's what happened. When they learned that Spike gives phone call alerts, they created an account, and it's not like we were seeing a lot of customers come in at that point in time, so I could easily research a little bit about and qualify lead myself, versus now we are working towards automating the qualified lead. So at the time I could see that, okay, I can see one or two new accounts coming in from absolutely the disposable email addresses, but I was okay with it because at the time I did not see this forthcoming. I'm actually friends with PagerTree's founder, Austin Miller, and Austin had told me that this is a thing that just happens in this space. So we had some protection already, but we did not cover all the ground. So what we did at the time, hackers logged in, they started using either say Selenium or any of these automated tools. And when you are verifying a phone number or generating an incident, that's when the phone call alert goes. So they started hammering that particular endpoint. And then we were so early in the journey at that point in time, we did not have rate limiting setups as well. So they could generate about 2,500 phone calls over a period of a couple of hours. How I got notified of when this happened was, first, the server instantly got busy. So I got my first alert at midnight. I wouldn't say midnight, about 3:30 in the morning, saying that this has happened. And then we had Twilio integration at the time. I got a phone call from Spike that Spike servers are getting affected. And then at 4:30, I got a call from Spike again that there is a new Twilio incident. And Twilio has created this error that they've started blocking automatically, considering that these could be spam calls to Moldova. I woke up at 5 o'clock because I got a call from my own product, right? I woke up and I came in and I saw the bill was rounding up to about $200 to $300 at the time. And then became the race. It was essentially, I think we started instantly deleting these accounts first because I could clearly see who was doing this. And then Twilio reached out. Twilio was absolutely phenomenal in this. They started saying that, you know what, we're going to remove your phone number. You need to buy a new phone number, because the phone numbers are now basically corrupted. So it was pretty much race against time at the time, and we started cutting out. And it was not something that they could hack into our servers. That was not possible. It was essentially just logging in, clicking that verify button 1,000 times manually yourself, and that's good enough too. So that's when we started implementing the best practices about DDoS protection from Cloudflare. We use Needle to essentially start monitoring what are some of the bots who are coming onto the website and how often. And then we started implementing Google CAPTCHAs everywhere. That itself has been a big boon. Now We've changed onboarding 4 times. This is the fifth iteration that we're doing, wherein now we ask customers to verify your email before you come onto the platform. That itself has been very educational in the terms to see that, those few days was just a race against, are the hackers gonna get to this endpoint first, or we gonna secure it first, kind of thing.
Right.
We just had one customer at the time. Yeah, so
This
those
is
are,
a great example of eating your own dog food, right? Where
yeah.
what works for you helps you to manage your own incidents within your ecosystem.
Because we saw security incidents in a sense that we had a we have an e-commerce shop from Amsterdam who basically requested integrations like Bugsnag and all of those things coming in, where we understood that previously when we were estimating that yes, there is a waste of a lot of developer productivity. That's why we decided to keep it simple. But when customers started coming in, and we could see that just by adding those documentations, people are able to see that 360-degree vision come in. They're already requesting integrations that we had not thought of, like Travis CI or GitHub integration that's coming in next week, or even Prometheus integrations. So we understood that a lot has to happen around the time that, getting to that 360-degree view. We need to educate, but there is also some thought process that goes behind it. So when we added our own infrastructures monitoring on Spike, so did other customers started doing that slowly and steadily. you know then we had another customer. We have a major bank now as our customer, and for which we actually built the Azure integration. um, I think their lesson, what we learned was that no matter, there is a bottom up sale and then there is a top down sale, but we've been able to see that developers are becoming better developers because of Spike alerts, because they know that, I think each of us as developers are extremely passionate about serving the best to our customers, and to do that effectively with Spike's alerts. And that's exactly why we were like, we need to get the security measures very, very prompt. Of course, when people are going to come in and click, just sit down and click 1,000 times, that's a difficult problem to solve. There
Right.
are tools, but it's still a difficult problem to solve. Now, after getting compliant with security loopholes and everything, it's been an absolutely splendid journey. Yeah.
I think lastly, talk to us a little bit about the vision and the culture that you're trying to build. How big is your team now? From the time you started as a solo developer, and your initial founding team, and then to the size of the team that you are in now. A little bit about your vision. Where do you see Spike making larger strides from here on, and how are you building the culture as a remote company?
For the longest time, it was just me. At the time that we started seeing customers come in, we got customers from a very major edtech funded startup from Indonesia come in, and they had started monitoring everything before they were launching. That's the best part, right? They're already testing their entire systems. They knew that they're about to launch. They're going to make a big wave, one way or the other, and they wanted to be absolutely resilient, that no matter what happens in what corner, they need to get this result. So that was a very turning point. That's when I realized that, some of these things I need to start getting someone to help in, because I cannot keep saying that I can give you absolutely flawless integrations and flawless product reliability without having anybody else's help. I think that's where I took a step down and I said that I got my first teammate, that's Rajni, who started helping us with design, and consecutively we got Divyansh. Now we are a 3 people team. We've just had a fourth person come in as consulting us over the next few days. When we saw customers, now I think we have customers from, we have US, Canada, Brazil, Brazil, Mexico, Northern Macedonia, Amsterdam, Prague. Wow, Turkey. I've never counted it. Now that I realize it's Australia and Indonesia and Philippines. Philippines we in trial, and of course Mauritius. I realized that, we are going places, and to go places, one of the things is you need to have a team that can truly believe that we are going places. Our vision at Spike has always been to make the best products for developers. The first thing that we started now we are absolutely focused on is, if you're a small and a medium business, everything that people talk about DevOps, we want to essentially automate all of those DevOps without actually having a DevOps team for your organization. That's something that we have as a high vision, and we feel like we're getting there slowly and steadily. In India alone, we've seen so many companies essentially hire another person who or an intern, and in 3 months they can basically 3 months they'll spend to write this entire code to automate the alerts. And after the internship's over, most of the times people just get annoyed, they switch off the alerting systems. You cannot have the best uncompromising team on quality without essentially saying that we can build everything by ourselves. So what we need to do as Spike is we want to build products which will have a profound impact on an entire DevOps culture for all of your small and medium businesses. In terms of culture, I think we are actually still shaping as we go, you know. But as we say, the initial set of people perhaps are the ones who carve it in. I think as a remote team, our biggest challenge is we see we try to talk a lot about asynchronous communication. If in case there is an absolute urgency, then maybe we can immediately set a call or anything, but an asynchronous communication is something that we're getting good at on an everyday basis. Now this is something that I would recommend everyone to try it out. 3 days out of a week, we have a Discord server and we just hang out on the Discord server. The mic's on, and this room, which I call as an office, right? This office of ours, the laptop's on, the Discord server is on. If I get a phone call, I have to walk out of the room. I don't mute the laptop. Out of a week, we've been practicing this for the past couple of days. It's phenomenal the effects that we get because we are consistently talking and we are consistently seeking feedback as well. We can't do it all day long, but yes, none of the features that we've built has actually been what we had planned initially, but it's the people who've come in, they come up with some amazing ideas, and having those multi-dimensional ideas interfere with the vision. Okay, that's when you have a absolutely crazy explosion of growth. And that's something that we believe that we've just been enabling people, our small team, and because it's a small team, it's easier.
Fantastic, Kaushik. Wonderful conversations. Thank you so much for these insights. Amazed to see how a young, small team has been able to carve out a niche product and using the product to acquire customers around the world, and processing a million incidents in less than a year of launch is no small feat. So kudos to you and to your young team
Thank you.
that's been building and managing this. So I think we have come to the end of the podcast today. So thanks for your time once again, Kaushik. It's been a wonderful conversation, great insights.
Thank you so much, Bimlesh. It's been a great experience. I really like these discussions.
So for all our listeners today, do like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. This will also be available on Spotify, Anchor, and on Google Podcast. So signing off today on our 24th episode. This is Bimlesh Gundurao from PitchCamp in conversation with Kaushik, founder of Spike.sh, and we will look to have you all join us for the next session. Thank you.
Thank you.